She discovered the hidden powers of fasting she never knew existed. In this video, we'll dive into the amazing insights from a former registered nurse turned minister about fasting during her near-death experience. Have you ever thought about how fasting can connect you to divine strength and change your life? By the end of this video, you'll learn why fasting is crucial for breaking spiritual chains and how it can give you strength you never thought possible. Welcome to New Paradigm. And this is the story of Nicole Hudson. Nicole Hudson, a 45-year-old former registered nurse turned minister in Sacramento, California, had fasted before. It had been part of her spiritual life for years, but she had never experienced anything like what happened on September 12, 2023. She was on the 7th day of a water-only fast, something she felt strongly led to undertake. That morning, at 5:30 a.m., she drove to her church's early prayer meeting. The streets were empty, an eerie stillness hanging in the air. Unusual for Sacramento in September, a soft rain fell, giving the morning an almost otherworldly quality. Then, in an instant, everything changed. A drunk driver in a speeding pickup truck ran a red light on Madison Avenue and crashed directly into the driver's side of her car. The impact was catastrophic. The force of the crash shattered her body, caused severe internal bleeding, and led to multiple organ failures. Medical reports would later confirm the unthinkable. Her heart stopped beating for exactly 17 minutes and 23 seconds. But what happened in those 17 minutes was far more real than anything she had experienced in her 45 years of life. Nicole Hudson didn't just see death. She saw the hidden reality of fasting, the unseen forces at play, and the way prayer and sacrifice truly move heaven. As she left her body, she first noticed the scene below her. Paramedics working frantically, police redirecting traffic, and the young man who had hit her, sitting on the curb with his head in his hands. Then, something pulled her upward. She was moving, drawn into a tunnel of living light, surrounded by an overwhelming peace she had never felt before. She found herself in what she could only describe as the outer courts of heaven. The colors around her were beyond human comprehension, the atmosphere alive with a music that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. But what caught her attention the most was what she saw stretching between heaven and earth. Golden threads. Some glowed intensely, stretching effortlessly from the earth to the divine realm. Others flickered weakly. Some were frayed, barely holding on. Then, a voice unlike any other filled her being. "Nicole, I have brought you here to show you what your eyes have not seen and your ears have not heard." It was Jesus. She knew it instantly, though she had not yet seen him. His presence was overwhelming, carrying a weight of love and authority beyond anything earthly. Then, he revealed to her the true power of fasting, something the modern church had largely forgotten. Fasting, he showed her, was not about religious duty or self-denial for its own sake. It was a technology of the Spirit, a divine frequency that could cut through the heavy darkness suffocating the world. She saw how every sincere fast created an opening in the spiritual realm, allowing heaven's power to pour through. Through these divine channels, prayers that would have been blocked shot straight through, spiritual barriers crumbled, and battles that would have taken years to win were won in moments. Jesus then showed her something even more shocking, her own fast. She watched as each day of her fasting strengthened the golden thread, connecting her to heaven. It was like a spiritual muscle growing stronger, making the connection clearer and more powerful. But then he showed her something even deeper, the hidden history of fasting's power. In a moment, Jesus pulled back time itself, and Nicole was no longer in the present. She was witnessing the spiritual mechanics behind some of the most significant moments in history. She saw Moses on Mount Sinai, weak in the flesh, but radiating glory. His 40-day fast had created an opening in the spiritual realm so profound that God's presence could descend upon the mountain with full intensity. She saw Daniel in Babylon, fasting for weeks, but now she could see what was happening beyond the physical. His fasting was not just personal. It was actively pushing back dark spiritual forces that had held entire regions captive. Then she saw countless believers throughout history, not famous figures, not prophets or leaders, everyday people who had no idea that their fasting was shifting spiritual atmospheres, breaking curses, and changing the destiny of nations. And then she saw the greatest force of all, corporate fasting. When believers fasted together, it did not just create individual connections to heaven. It created storms of divine power. These combined sacrifices generated spiritual momentum, so powerful that it could change the course of entire cities, even nations. But there was a warning as well. Not all fasting was equal. Not all fasting carried weight. And Jesus showed her exactly why. Jesus revealed something few people understand. Fasting in itself does not move heaven. Fasting with the right heart does. She saw people fasting for show, for religious duty, for personal gain. Their golden threads were weak, barely formed. Their sacrifice had no impact in the spirit. But then she saw true fasting that came from humility, repentance, and a desperate hunger for God. The effect was immediate. The dark fog that covered the earth split open, allowing waves of heaven's light to pour through. Then Jesus showed her something even more shocking. Fasting alters spiritual DNA. She saw how each prolonged fast created new pathways in the spirit, allowing believers to operate in higher levels of discernment, authority, and power, even after the fast was over. This explained why some believers walked in effortless, supernatural power. They had built these pathways through years of fasting. And then came the final revelation. The world is heading into a time where regular prayer alone will not be enough. Jesus showed Nicole chains in the spiritual realm. Dark, heavy chains binding people, families, and even entire regions. These chains represented addictions, generational curses, spiritual oppression. Only one thing was breaking them: fasting. But with that power came great danger. She saw that those who fasted were specifically targeted by the enemy. Distractions, sudden illnesses, mental and emotional attacks. Anything to stop the fast before it could reach completion. Jesus' warning was clear. Protection during fasting is crucial. Stay under the cover of my blood and my word. And then she saw one last thing: the urgency of this revelation. Time is running out. 3 months after her first near-death experience, Nicole went into another extended fast. One night, while deep in prayer, her heart suddenly stopped for 4 minutes and 12 seconds. She was pulled back into the same realm of light. But this time, Jesus did not show her something new. Instead, he confirmed what had already begun. She saw the effects of her testimony. People were fasting. The golden threads were multiplying. The darkness was retreating. Then Jesus spoke one final time. Tell them again, but this time tell them with the authority of one who has seen the fruit. What Nicole Hudson witnessed was not just for her. It was for the entire church. A massive outpouring of God's Spirit is coming, but it will only be accessed by those willing to sacrifice their flesh and step into the supernatural power of fasting. Jesus is calling. The question is, who will answer?